Hi everyone, welcome to this video on how to get the best out of your mindfulness practice. So first of all, we're going to identify whether you are more internally or externally focused. And by just identifying this small thing, you can make a big difference to the effectiveness of your mindfulness practice. So let's take the first example of introception, where we were internally focused. So if we think of a scale of 0 to 10, okay, so most of us will be in that average sphere, and when we're functioning to the best of our ability, that will just go up and occasionally down. If our circadian rhythm is out, we might feel a bit flatter. But usually, for example, if we're feeling joyful and we're having a good laugh, that will peak up to 10 and then settle down. So during the laughter and your joy and exuberance, you'll notice your shoulders going, or you'll be belly holding, and you will be fully in that moment, and then it will just reset to that lovely little sway. On the extreme of that, when we think about people who have trauma, neurodiversity, particularly things like autism, we may then see the other extreme where it goes down to 0, dissociation. And this is quite a common thing with people with PTSD. So they have they're not able to feel, they feel flat. So with that same example as joy, they would feel just flat, empty. Now, if we take the other focal point, which is our external, and again, if we use the same analogy of the sliding scale with the pendulum, 0 and then 10, again, as with the inner focus, we would find most people are quite happy just swaying in that nicely within that central average. Now, what happens is that when that becomes off kilter, and the great example that we've all been there, is when perhaps you've binged out on Netflix, or you're gaming, people that are constantly scrolling on their phones. This external driven is completely off kilter. Instead of being in the average sphere, it's a 10 maybe. And you'll know this when perhaps you're overtired because you've spent all night or until the early hours binging out on TV. This external thing usually actually can often be that we're numbing out from our internal focus. Now, again, as with the internal focus, when we comes to external, again, that's the extreme scrolling, binging. Down the other end, you could get someone who is autistic and maybe they don't know, they're not aware that it's getting colder. And so I've seen people go blue before because they have no awareness of this external focus. So they're not aware of their skin, or again, they don't eat for days maybe because they're not aware that their stomach is growling and they need to eat. Again, if that is someone who's traumatized, we could be talking that they could be in a situation that the person who sits in that average would get out quick. It's a dangerous situation. The person that has been traumatized, maybe this is a bit off kilt, they will overstay in unhealthy situations, whether that be physical or mental, because their rhythm has adjusted and it's a little bit more extreme. So most of us will experience an average of internal and external. However, again, when I mention things like the trauma, chronic stress, PTSD, neurodivergent people, this is when we can be off kill. And so when it comes to our mindfulness practice, to get the best out of your practice, you need to understand where you sit on either of those continuums. If you are average on both, then that's great. Then your practice, you'll get the best out of it if you do both internal and external. So the internal can be something like breath work, external would be walking. If, however, you are off kilt and you are either internal, you're constantly caught on a loop of overwhelm, you're stressed, you're very aware of your heartbeat and your breath, you would really be best to do an immersive mindfulness practice, as in walking. So therefore you're switching out of your head and you're re-associating with your body. Likewise, if you're constantly on your phone, you're constantly overstimulated by outside things, then you would do better to do more breath work and therefore also become more associated with your body, because either extreme in either case is not good and it can affect your mental health. So establishing whether you are internally or externally focused will really support you in developing a great mindfulness practice. So if you'd like to learn more, then please look on my website. I run 3 mindfulness beginner classes where we learn all these sort of things so that you can really establish your practice and do this. We kick off, it's very immersive. We don't do any work on sort of the apps, because this is about making connections and really connecting. So I do it both in person and online. So please let me know if you'd like any more information by messaging me, and I'd love to have your feedback on whether you're external or internal and what works for you. Okay, take care until next time. Bye.